We finally have some positive news to talk about regarding the Winnipeg Jets and a game reaction here because they actually led in a game and we didn't just win in overtime because we're a mediocre hockey team. Welcome back, everybody, to another Jets reaction today. And this has been a great day for being a Jets fan, in my opinion, because there were so many positives to talk about in today's game. There was great defensive play all around. The top six finally got their ass in motion and decided to play some real hockey. And overall, they just looked like a completely improved team to where they were in Game 3 against the Ottawa Senators. And I'm all for it. Yeah, I know Ottawa is still projected to be the bottom tier team in the Canadian division, but nonetheless, I think Ottawa has a pretty good roster, and we saw what they could do against the Jets pretty competently in that one game. Although they ended up blowing the lead, they still played a good brand of hockey, in my opinion. This was a difference Jets game from the first period to the last second of the third. There was fighting. They stood up for themselves. There was a lot of speed, a lot of good puck possession on the defensive end and on the offensive end of the ice. There was just a lot of good things to talk about and a lot of great highlights. And I think the thing we have to start off the back about talking about, just like I talked about in today's video, was Logan Stanley and Ville Heinola. Ville Heinola made his season debut with the Jets today, and they looked great. They both played around, I believe, 14 minutes of ice time each, and they looked great in that ice time. Logan Stanley, I love the kid. Like, I made that video talking about, he looked good. He's nothing too promising and all that. But this game, for me, really solidified Logan Stanley's presence on this blue line for the Winnipeg Jets. Regardless if he's a consistent starter or not, having a guy like that to plug in for matchups with size, who throws his body around, who hits, who stands up for his team, and is just an overall big presence on that blue line is something that we've lacked since Dustin Byfuglien. And to have that presence back, I think it's going to make the team a lot better overall. Now, if Logan Stanley can even develop a little bit more than where he's already at consistently with some game experience under his belt this year, we have a huge, big thing going for the blue line. Because now, like I said in that video, Ville Heinola, Dylan Samberg, Logan Stanley, the emergence potentially of Declan Chisholm when he makes it to the AHL, tons of other defensive prospects that are pretty solid on the Moose as it is already. The Jets are actually starting to look like they got a lot more in the cupboard defensively than a lot of people thought they did going into this season. And I am just ecstatic about that. And I know it's early in the season, but those two prospects, to my opinion, are a big part of whether or not the Jets are going to succeed this season. Not so much Stanley going into the season, I thought, but Heinola especially. And overall, the play was just really good between those guys. Ehlers tonight, another standout for me. From the puck drop to the end of the game, he looked really good. He had that amazing spinorama post shot in the second period that was fantastic, and I wish that went in because it would have been a beautiful highlight to see all over the league's Twitter accounts and on the YouTube channels. I would love to see that for Ehlers to get some great publicity because he's such an underrated top 6 guy in the league, and I think he's a great player. But nonetheless, Ehlers looked fantastic today. He had great goal scoring, and his offensiveness was great. He had great puck possession. He just looked like the Ehlers of old, and it was really exciting to see that. And then talking another bit about a guy who looked like he did a few seasons ago, and this looks like a great player we know he is, Blake Wheeler had a fantastic game. He was great on defensively on the ice. He looked a little bit more, I guess I would say in shape, if you would call him that. Like, he looked more involved in the play, and overall, it was just really happy to see a guy like that who had been struggling within the first 3 games of the season finally find his place, get that good goal from Scheifele, and just have a good game overall. There was big improvement, like I said, on both ends of the ice. The offense looked a lot more sharp. They looked a lot more precise, something that I said they did not have within the first 3 games, and I think that it's starting to kindly come together a little bit, not to mention the fact that this team is still playing with some holes in the lineup. Patrick Laine not being there after 2 games, Tucker Pullman still not being in because of COVID protocol, and Dylan DeMello, of course, being in Winnipeg with his newborn baby. This is a lot of, potential with this team to even grow. If they're already starting to look solid and more precise now with these plug-in players in to fill out the lineup, imagine what they could potentially look like when they add the actual consistent roster pieces. There's a lot of improvement in this game, and it got me very excited for what to expect in the next game against the Ottawa Senators. Now, overall, I think that everything is clicking. Like I said, I think that is the big thing right now to the success we had in this game. The offense just had a lot of chemistry, and that's something that I think has been really lacking within the first few games. When you look at Kyle Connor's offensive dominance, the reason he's been able to do that is because he's getting really good shot opportunities, and he's about the only guy getting clean shot opportunities when you look at the past few games. But in this game, there was a lot of good shot creation from both the defensive players and the offensive players. There was a lot of just good overall puck movement, puck decision. Stastny made a lot of good plays and made a lot of good looks. He hasn't been rewarded yet, but I am not concerned about that at all. I think Stastny's going to have a pretty good year with the Jets, regardless of how he looks within the first 3 games on the point sheet. He's making great plays. He's getting to the place he needs to be. He's winning draws. He just looks like that center that we've needed that replaced Little. Because can you imagine right now if we hadn't went out and got somebody with the center core would look like for the Jets? Because Scheifele had been lackluster going up into this game, and talk about Scheifele really showing that he's got the jet still. He's got the wheels. He looked really good. Another thing I want to talk about getting into with the really good improvement is I think Trevor Lewis has been one of the best grabs of the season, and Derek Forbett nonetheless. Shout out to my boy Forbett because, again, 3 points already. The guy is looking like to be one of the best underrated signings. We're paying him $1 million, and he's amazing for depth right now. He's playing great hockey. Trevor Lewis the same, comes in on the PTO. I wish he scored that goal. I'm so glad that Lowry, with that great sportsmanship, put him at the front of the line when they went to celebrate the goal at the bench, because that was his goal from the start. I just couldn't believe that he hit the post like that and he deked out Murray. What a great play, great goal. I loved seeing that play. The bottom six looked great today. There was a lot of good puck movement, a lot of good puck possession, and just on the body type hockey. They were really, really giving it to the Senators' bottom six, and that allowed the top six to create a lot more movement because of how much the bottom six was wearing down Ottawa. And I think that was key to this game. Again, having a good bottom six is really key to help your top six produce. At least that's my opinion on hockey and how it's played. And I think that the Jets do have an underrated bottom six in the league. Talking about the bottom six, though, forward Nate Thompson, center for the fourth line, went down, I believe, in the second period with a lower body injury. He said that he got something. What I had read was that he had some tightness somewhere in his body, and it wasn't getting loose. He just couldn't play properly, couldn't move well, and they took him out of the game because of that. So I hope everything's going to be okay there. We might have to see a replacement with him going into the next game, which could be interesting. We might see Christian Vesalainen draw into his first game of the season, which I'm still hoping for. And that brings me again to another kind of talking point that I had within the last few videos. Matthew Perreault looked a lot more visible, I would say, in this game than he had in the past. In the past reviews of my Jets games that I've been doing so far, I've talked about how he's been invisible, how he doesn't really deserve, in my opinion, to even be having power play time or be on the roster for that matter. But he looked more consistent today. He looked like a little bit more of a presence on the ice, and that's important for me because even though I don't really want to see Matthew Perreault consistently playing over Christian Vesalainen and some other guys, I am happy to see him at least being productive because it is good to have depth, and he is a good depth player who can play anywhere in the lineup, at least in the past. But if he can still bring an element of that to his game, I think that helps the Jets tremendously moving forward into the season. Now, when you go look at everything else the team played about, I think another big flaw, if I had to say anything about the team, was the power play. Although the power play did look good and has looked better, they have just not been good to start the season. I believe they're 2 for 18 to start the season, which is pretty horrendous. I know Patrik Laine is a massive part of that power play, and he has been since his arrival in Winnipeg, but they need to find a way to score without him on the power play. Whether that means pulling Josh Morrissey off, running with Nikolaj Ehlers and running with 5 forwards on that power play like they did on that 5-on-3 in Game 1 against Calgary, but although Laine was on that 5-on-3, I think just trying to experiment like that because it's clearly not working. They did look better this game nonetheless, but they just need their power play to click. You cannot win and be a consistent, like a cup contender with a 2 for 18 power play going into 4 games into the season. That's just not good enough at the NHL level, and they need to find a way to get that power play jump started, regardless of Patrik Laine coming back next game or not. They need to be more consistent because Patrik Laine can't carry the power play all year. They need to have guys contributing, and whether or not it's the way the power play is structured right now, the players on the power play, I think they need to take a look at that and readjust it when Patrik Laine comes back, and also just readjust their second unit as well with the type of presence they have. Because again, I know Matthew Perreault is on there right now mostly due to injuries, but I do not think that Matthew Perreault should be on a power play at all at this point in his career. Nonetheless, I think that if the power play can get a little bit more chemistry going, a little bit more offense built, they will be obviously a much better team, the Jets, because we know in the past the Jets have rocked on the power play, and I think that that's something that they need to get back to their game. I think it's vital for their success moving forward into this season. Now, when I go and talk about everything that happened in this game, like the standouts I've talked about in the past, the defense looked good, Stanley looked great, Genola played a good solid brand of hockey, which is something that is desperately needed after her horrendous performances in Nikki within the first 3 games, and obviously Lewis looking like a great addition. I think that that is something that a lot of Jets fans need to give a lot more credit to for Scheifele is bringing in Trevor Lewis and signing Derek Forbett. A lot of people at the time thought Forbett was just going to be a depth signing, but he's looking to be a really key part of this defensive core moving forward, and Trevor Lewis, in my opinion, is a guy that Jets desperately needed, a hard-working, fast, experienced, 2-time Cup champion for the fourth line who knows how to play that grit hockey, who can play the body still, and he's coming off of a lot of injuries within the past, and is looking like he's been in the best shape he's been in a few years, and I think that that's fantastic for the Jets, because they have, with those 2 guys combined, they're making less than $2 million, and are being really good contributing parts of the lineup right now on both ends of the ice, defensively and offensively, for both of them, because Forbett, like I said, 3 assists within 4 games. That I'm pretty sure that eclipses his point high total from last season, which is already ridiculous. But I'm just happy to see him jumping in on the rushes, because I really thought Forbett would be a hang-back type of guy and let Pionk dominate the the offensive play of the defensive players on the blue line. But overall, to see him jumping in on those rushes, helping move the puck, making good breakout passes in the neutral zone, I think that's vital for the Jets defense moving forward. I think he's going to be a really, like I said, key part of this team moving forward, and I really, really am happy that we have him at that price point. I think it's a steal, and I think that the Jets should be really, and a lot of more Jets fans should be more grateful for the fact that we have a guy like that, because I knew it was a pretty good sign in the moment it happened. Although I will say one thing I will defend is that I was kind of high on Nate Thompson. I thought he would be a good addition for the fourth line. Although he was injured tonight, I don't want to talk too bad about a guy who just got injured, but he hasn't looked that special. Hoping for maybe another type of rookie to jump in over him. Again, like I've said with Matthew Perreault, Christian Vesalainen had a fantastic stint over in Liga this season during the that little kind of COVID break in between the playoffs and the season, obviously after the draft and everything. So I would really like to see Vesalainen get another opportunity with the Jets. I think that he proved himself in the Liga, that he still has a lot of offensive skill. He's worked on a lot of his issues that he had with the Moose, and I think bringing him over could be a good experiment with that. But again, I'm not a coach. I don't see what's happening over there. So although I disagree with Paul Maurice a lot of the times, I'm hoping that in this case there's a reason why Vesalainen ain't playing, because if I'm the coach, I think I'm giving a guy who worked really hard and was successful in the league an opportunity in the NHL, especially in a shortened season when you want to keep guys fresh as possible. And that's something, again, jumping into. I think another reason why Mark Scheifele was a little bit more successful this game is because of his decrease in ice time. The past 3 games, I believe he'd played like 27, 25, and like 24 minutes or something ridiculous like that, which is kind of insane when you think about it. And a lot of people were talking trash about Scheifele because of that, saying that he was slow, saying all these other reasons. But I think that him limiting his minutes and getting more of a, kind of jumping on the plays more because he knows he doesn't have to play that long was a big reason why we saw a lot more chemistry and good hockey between him and Wheeler. I think that that's key moving forward, limiting the minutes and just using those guys strategically, because we saw how good they were tonight, and those guys are key to the Jets' top 6 survival. We need Wheeler, we need Scheifele to produce, especially if Wheeler is going to somehow stick on that front line all season. We need Wheeler to be Wheeler, and he was Wheeler tonight, and that's something that I'm happy about, and that's why I chose to wear the Wheeler jersey for this game reaction today, because he was, in my opinion, one of the more bounce-back players from the roster this game, and I think that was something that the Jets desperately needed from their captain. But overall, let me know your thoughts down in that comment section below. What did you guys think about this 4-1 win over the Ottawa Senators today? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you're a fan of hockey, regardless of the club you root for, definitely consider dropping a subscription. We're on that road to 500 subscribers, and if you have already subscribed, make sure notifications are turned on, because we'll be posting new videos all the time on this channel during this NHL season. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Peace, love, and positivity. I will see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go.